Hey, I'm Amy Pinnell, the Community Development Director for the town of Braselton. I am still with Alex here. We are talking about branding. Alex, if you will remember, is with Pioneer Digital Marketing, and we have been talking about the SB7 framework. We've got a lot of really good information about
how
that.
to build your brand out.
Right, and so now we're going to talk a little bit more about implementing and your brand strategy, right?
For sure, exactly. So one of the things that we didn't talk about in the last video is how do we take that SB7 framework and turn it into the visual? How do we turn it into the part that people interact with? What are those things? How are they used? And this is going to be a really short video of overall how we can create these things, how they can be consistent, and then how small businesses make the most of them.
To me, it sounds like the fun stuff.
Yes, it is the fun stuff. It's the part that people get the most, feel the most creative. Right, it's not sitting on a computer thinking about your people, talking about the percent. It is, but just in a different way.
Right.
So let's just go and break that down.
Okay.
Brands are made up of multiple different aspects. So we talked about the why. Let's talk about how and how it's implemented here. So number one is your logo. The logo is the thing that everyone remembers. I always like to go by the mentality of marketing made simple. Let's think about the most well-known logos out there. Nike's a great one. It is just a swoosh, right? That's very simple, but everyone remembers it. Let's think about some car logos. Tesla's a good one. Chevy's a good one. Tesla's just a T. It's got a little detail up at the top that you can remember it by, and Chevy's just a little cross. Lincoln, Mercedes. The car brands are the best one to look at because they're super simple, but they make a mark and you can remember them. Mm-hmm. So when you sit down to make your logo, don't include 50 different colors in your logo. Don't sit down and draw and take hours and hours and hours developing a bunch of different shapes and merging them together. The best thing to do is just to create one shape that can stand out, that you can print out. You can put it on anything. You can put it on a business card. You can put it on your shirt, put it on a billboard, and it looks great everywhere.
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses don't think about that because when we do different things, you know, maybe we're in color, maybe we're just in black and white, and how do those things translate? So you're right. If they've got too much design going on, too many colors, it doesn't always translate into whatever you're doing.
Okay, so I want to talk about a pro tip when you're creating your logo. When you go to trademark your logo, if you create your first logo in red or yellow or red and blue, and you go to trademark it, that logo will only be trademarked in red and blue. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not giving out professional legal advice. Do your research yourself, talk to a lawyer. But what I've heard from brands in the past and brands that we've worked with is if you register it in black and white, I believe it's black and white. If you register it black and white, you can have it in any color, which is really interesting. So if you want your logo trademarked and you want to put it in green or yellow and you want to change it around depending on where it's going to be posted, register it in black and white. That way, legally, it's allowed to be used in every color.
All right, that's good information.
Just a little pro tip there.
Good.
Saves you some money. So your logo, it all breaks down to the shape and then the color as well. So your color stands out. And colors, just look up online. That's the best thing to do. Emotions behind colors. There's so many different ways that colors can influence the way that we feel. Mm-hmm. And that way when our customers interact with us, we can kind of convey an emotion with that customer to make them feel more in touch with their company. So if you're looking to be more warm, obviously like a yellow or an orange is a good color to use. If you're looking to feel more royal or excited or driven, a blue or a purple is a good one to use. Okay. So you can look up those colors online, the emotional way that colors interact with people. And that's how I like to help businesses build their logos. And then along with that, when we're using building graphics on social media, imagery, we like to use the same colors that are in our logo as we do in the rest of our brand. So when we build out our website and we create social media graphics, it's important to have those same colors represent the rest of your brand so we can aim and achieve for that brand consistency. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and just another little tidbit. The town, we absolutely, for the town of Braselton, you know, we have a color palette. So everything we do, we follow within those, I think there's 5 different colors. And they all have different meanings for us. And we use them in different ways. So yeah, it makes it easier, really, you know, because then you don't have to be searching, trying to figure out your template or whatever. You just, you've got those things set. Right. And it's so easy.
Exactly. And I always recommend don't pick out 8 to 9 different colors. Pick 3 or 5. That's the best way to go about it. Have 3 colors and make them simple. They don't have to be over the top crazy. Some of the best brands that we know about are just black and white. That's my company, Pioneer Digital, is a grayscale. We use black, white, a couple different grays, and then every once in a while we'll throw in a pop of color to help stuff stand out. But we are just black and white. So it's easy to remember.
Easy.
Exactly.
Right. And the visual is very pleasing and recognizable.
Right. So now we're going to touch back on the SB7 framework. We just talked about our customer journey, how we're helping them solve their problem as the company, and then giving them a call to action. We can really only do this. We can do this with imagery and with logos. It can help remind them, but we need to tell them by using words. And what we call that is the messaging for your company. If we're talking about a mom and pop local shop, and you have a bunch of employees that work for you, it's important that they all discuss your brand the exact same way. And that's what your messaging is. So when you answer the phone, you might want to answer the phone by, "Hi, this is Alex at XYZ." That's the same way that most other companies answer the phone. So come up with a unique way that everybody at your company answers the phone. That way you stand out. People will remember you. Cane's Chicken is one of my favorite fast food restaurants. When you pull up to the drive-thru, they say something that rhymes. "What's kicking? Do you want some chicken?" I love that. It's something small that I remember when I drive through the drive-thru line, and that helps me. It helps create the Cane's brand, something along the lines of that. So answering the phone's a big one, and it's important that all of your employees know how to talk about your brand. When you're talking about your brand and you have your employees talking about your brand, come up with a few statements that represent what that brand is. And then have everybody memorize those and talk about them in that way. That way you're consistent no matter who is representing your brand.
Right. Oh, that's such a good tip. Yeah.
And then you can use those on your website, you can use those on your social media, and all of that creates that brand consistency.
All right. So I've got one more question for you. So small local businesses in Braselton, can they really stand out with branding?
That's a good question. Yeah, and a lot of companies think that they're just a local company, that they're never going to stand out. Well, good news is Starbucks started as a local mom and pop coffee shop in Seattle, Washington, and look at who they are now. If you look up Starbucks brand guidelines or Starbucks brand book, you can see a website as to how they represent their brand. There's a whole website about it. I highly recommend looking at that. Their logos, their messaging, their patterns, their colors, it's amazing. And now look at where they're at now. They're opening hundreds of stores weekly, and it's amazing how much they've grown to all around the world.
Yeah, we all know them.
Exactly, and one of the things they did is they're very consistent with their brand.
Yeah, and that's very important. And I love that idea about looking, and it's great to have your own strategy, your own template, your own guide for what you're going to be using, and all the colors. Get it in one document, get it in one place, so you'll know. And then every time you're ready to do something, you've got those resources right there, and you're not having to research and go back and find things.
Yeah, and like we talked about in the last video, go back and watch part 1 to see how we set the foundation for framework. Is a working document. Have all of this put in one document, so that way you can always go back and look at it. You can refer to what you started with, and it should change over time because your business is going to change over time. Right.
Don't be afraid to update and refresh.
You got
I love that. Okay, that's great. So much good information about branding. Who knew? You just, seems simple, but it can be.
It can be.
You just need to put a little time into it. So
absolutely.
That's great. Alex, I appreciate you being here again and helping us with this.
Of course, absolutely. Thanks, Amy.
All right. Yeah, thanks.